it allows your whole morning to open up. And so you can be more productive. You're not spending time cooking breakfast. You're not spending time eating breakfast. I do think that there is a net positive on your health. Over the years, I have tried many, many different habits, daily habits. I've tried many different things on how to maximize for productivity, happiness, or meaning, and health. And over the years, some stuck and some didn't. Some were beneficial, but I didn't really implement them properly. Some of them I've struggled with a lot. Others I clung to really quickly. And so I want to talk today in this episode about which habits on a daily basis, for the most part, that was able to stick to. And if I had to pick like a top 10 habit list on what's worked for me, despite trying again, probably in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 40 to 50 different daily habits over the course of the last 10 years or so. I mean, I've tried a lot of different things. These are the things that have stuck so far, and that if I had to recommend you try 10 things, at least one of these 10 things, it's what I would recommend. And before I get into the list, I want to first mention what the purpose of these habits are for me, because depending on what your purpose is in life, these may actually change. So for me, I mentioned the three things that I prioritize, which is productivity, happiness or meaning, and health. And so you might look at that and maybe perhaps wonder how that ties into stoicism. I mean, I think productivity is hopefully pretty obvious that for you to be a stoic, you probably have to be engaged in work in some capacity, and that doesn't necessarily mean a career. You know, it could just mean raising your children and being productive in that manner. It could mean just volunteering or engaging in your community. It doesn't necessarily mean productivity at work, but just being able to accomplish something throughout the day is important to a stoic. And then the second one there, happiness slash meaning. I mean, you could argue really that's what stoicism aims to do, is give you meaning through virtue. And then the third one there, health, is not inherently a stoic thing. Health is a preferred indifferent in stoicism. And so it's worth pursuing on a higher regard, in my opinion, than something like wealth would be, which is another preferred indifferent. Health, I think, is ultimately, in many ways, it's not up to you. There's a lot you can do to promote your health. Obviously, that's why there's daily habits that I have on here that do that. But fundamentally, a lot of it's not up to you, but it's a preferred indifferent. And so if you can be healthy, it will make your productivity better. It will make your happiness better. And it just makes things easier for you in terms of having a more meaningful life and being able to act more appropriately in the world. And so for me, these are the three things that I would say are the priorities that govern my, what I include on a daily basis in my daily habits. And all of that really points to maximizing my agency in this thing that we call stoic virtue, which includes things like better relationships and better community as well. So, with that being said, let's go through the list. Number one, waking up in the morning. I'm going to try and organize these from a early in the day to late in the day thing, and it won't be perfect, but I'm going to try and do that. So, the very first thing that really helped me a lot is I bought a sunrise clock. And for those who live in northern climates, we have sunrises that change pretty consistently and to a large degree throughout the year. So in the wintertime, you might not see sunlight until 9 o'clock. In the summertime, you start getting it at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's really hard for you to control your, when the sun comes up, obviously you can't control it. So one of the things that you can do is buy a sunrise clock. So I bought this clock, and what it does is it basically turns on a light from very low to very high over the course of, you can set it to 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I have it set for 30 minutes, and that has been massive in helping me feel better when I wake up in the morning and making sure I have enough rest. Tied in with that is I don't set an alarm clock anymore. This was a huge learning thing for me. I realized that if I have the sunrise alarm go off over the course of 30 minutes, I will naturally wake up when I'm supposed to wake up. Even if I have to sleep in past that a little bit, you're better off not having an alarm that abruptly wakes you from sleeping. So it's better to get up at 5:54 or 6:09 than it is to get up and be disturbed and woken up in the middle of REM sleep at 6 o'clock every morning. And so that's one of the things that I changed. I used to have my alarm set for 6 o'clock and I was getting up at 6 a.m. no matter what. I've changed that where my sunrise alarm starts to brighten up around 5:30, and I will get up normally still around 6 o'clock, but it can be anywhere from 5:30 to 6:30 in that range based on how my natural sleep progression goes. And so that's number one. Is I would recommend a sunrise alarm clock, or at the very least, turn off your alarm and try and wake up naturally. Give yourself time to go to bed earlier, which I'll get into. That's my last one. But give yourself enough time so that you can wake up naturally and still arrive to work on time without being abruptly waken up. So those are, it's kind of two things, but really that waking up habit right there. Number two, I talk about this a lot, is ice baths. I do one every morning during the week. On the weekends, it's a hit or miss. Sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't. But when I'm home, 5 days a week, I do them at the bare minimum. It wakes you up in the morning. It's better than a cup of coffee. It kicks your circadian rhythm into focus. It makes your sleep better that night because when you wake up and you get in an ice bath, you're immediately woken up. There's no slow 90-minute progression for you to wake up. It's good for managing inflammation. It's good for managing tight muscles if you go to the gym and you have a lot of tension in your body like I do. And there's a there's a psychological aspect to it as well, where you've accomplished something very difficult. And so after you've gotten out of a ice plunge in the morning, you tend to have just a little bit less stress going into the day. You immediately are filled with more dopamine after you get out of the friggin' thing. So I would 100% recommend ice baths for anyone who is interested in that. You don't have to do it every morning, but I do recommend that. The caveat being that you should do this as far away as you possibly can from your exercise window. So if you're exercising at 6 p.m., 6 a.m. is a good time to do an ice bath. So 100% recommend it. Number three, this might sound a little silly, but I'll explain it. And that is getting ready for the day. So this mostly pertains to the weekends and when, let's say, you might have a little bit of a sickness going on or something, or your routine is off a little bit. Normally, I don't have any issue doing this during the week. And the reason is because I get up, I do my ice bath, and then I get ready for the day. What I mean by that is most of us, or at least myself, and I can only really speak for myself, I have a habit of getting up and I have a shower, I brush my teeth, I obviously put on my deodorant and I shave every morning, and and I get dressed obviously, and that starts my day. So it's really hard for me to be productive, and I kind of feel like a slob if I don't do this. If I don't have that, whatever getting ready for today means for you, if you don't have that and do that, I find it very hard for me to get into the productivity mind. The reason why I listed this as a habit is because when I first started working from home several years ago at this point during COVID, I realized that my schedule was slipping. Like I wasn't getting up and getting ready. I would get up, I'd lay down on the couch for a while, I might scroll my phone, or I might even do a bit of work. I'd do a bit of work, but I'd be half doing it because I don't really feel ready. Now I understand that you have to get up and you have to do the thing that kickstarts your day. So ice bath is obviously one of those things for me. But But the getting ready for the day or getting ready for work, that part of it is really important because for me, there's certain things you can't do until you do those few things that I listed. Have a shower, get dressed, brush your teeth, put on deodorant, shave. It's not that you can't do that, but it's that you're less likely to do it. For example, going into your office and actually being productive. It's kind of hard to do that when you're still in your PJs. You just don't feel ready to do work. Or maybe you have to go grocery shopping on a Saturday. You're probably not going to do that if you woke up in the morning and again, you're still wearing your PJs, you haven't brushed your teeth yet. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. And so even on the weekends, I try and do that as early as I can. So I'll get up in the morning and I might sleep in a little bit on the weekends. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of that. But I will try and get ready for the day, whatever that routine looks like for you. Don't push that off later into the day. And you can pay attention because you'll know whatever you have to do to get ready for work during the week, it's the same thing during the weekends. And we all have this list of things that we want to accomplish during the weekends, whether it's clean up the house or do my laundry or meal prep for the week. The earlier you can do that, whatever those things are that you have to do to feel ready for the day, the earlier you do that, the better chance you have of actually having, you don't necessarily need to have a productive weekend per se like you do during the week, but there are things that you have to do during the weekend because you're an adult and you're a person in order for you to be productive during the following work week. So get ready for the day. Number 4, starting work as soon as possible. Now, again, this mostly pertains to the work week, but it also applies to Saturday for me as well, and in some regards, Sunday. What I tried for a while is I had this morning routine set out where I would get up in the morning, I ice bath, I took a shower. At one point in time, I was actually doing a little bit of stretching and exercising in the morning, and then I was reading, and then I would have my cup of coffee, and I was relaxing, and I enjoyed that cup of coffee in the morning where I could relax. And that whole routine was about an hour and a half. I completely changed that at the beginning. I think I've been doing it like this now for the better part of a year, where I get up, I do my ice bath, I get ready for the day, those two things that's on the list, and I start work as soon as possible. And the reason is because the quicker you get your work done, the better off you feel later in the day when you want to relax or if you want to take some time to read or do whatever you have to do. There are things that you have to do every day, and the quicker you do that, the better. And so the morning routine, I was kind of telling myself, well, I'm doing this so that I can be more productive once I start work. But the truth is that really what I was doing is just procrastinating work for an hour. Now, if you like, again, these habits are for me. This is what I have found to work best for me. If you like exercising in the morning, that works out better, or the stretching, you find that helps, by all means. I found personally that the quicker I can start working, that the less room I leave for wiggling and reading more and just relaxing, the quicker I can just put my nose to the grindstone, the quicker I actually get stuff done and the quicker I can not do things later in the day. So don't overcomplicate things. Don't have like this massive morning routine that gets you ready for productivity. No, you get up, you get ready, you start working as soon as you can. Hey there. Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. Number 5, admittedly, I'm not perfect at this one. This is what I'm failing at, and I'm focusing on trying to do this one better because every time I do it, I think I have to do this every day, and then a couple days will go by and I'll realize that I just haven't, and that is getting outside. I work from home, as a lot of people do today. Getting outside can be a struggle when you're focused on productivity, and the last thing you want to do is go take a 10-15 minute walk to get away from the computer, or maybe you're relaxing on the couch and taking a little break from work. The last thing you want to do is get up and move around. However, getting outside in nature, breathing fresh air, it just relaxes you. It gives you perspective. You feel healthier. You're getting steps in. You're moving. You're getting out into the community. You're probably saying hi to one of your neighbors. There's so many benefits to just getting outside more. And right now I'm trying to have two, 10 to 15-minute walks a day. And that's not that hard to do. Every time I do it, I feel better. I feel happier getting out in nature, breathing fresh air, talking to people. Every time I do it, I feel better. It's one of those things that's a struggle for me. Nevertheless, it's on the list. It's on the top 10 daily habit list that uh, I think I should be doing every day. Number 6, intermittent fasting. This, for those who don't know, is you don't eat until around 12 o'clock. You have an eating window and you have a fasting window. The fasting window is about 16 hours. The eating window is about 8 hours. You can adjust that depending on what you want. I started doing this in like 2015. So I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been intermittent fasting for 10 years. There's some debate on the physiological benefits of it, like the health benefits of it. There are health benefits to fasting. There's some disagreement on whether or not fasting in and of itself for that relatively short window, because some people do like 1 day fast and 2 week fasts. Fasting for 16 hours, there's some debate on how beneficial that is health wise. What I would say is that feeding into habit number 4, which is starting work as soon as possible, intermittent fasting, it allows your whole morning to open up. And so you can be more productive. You're not spending time cooking breakfast. You're not spending time eating breakfast. I do think that there is a net positive on your health. I do think that there is a net positive on happiness and meeting, because when you actually do start eating at around 12 o'clock, there's a lot of excitement around that. And so I find there's more joy in my day when I'm intermittent fasting versus when I do not, because I have this anticipation about eating around lunchtime. So it maximizes productivity for me because for me, 6 hours of the day from when I wake up to when I start eating, that time period, I'm not thinking about food. I'm not focused on food. I'm just working and doing what I have to do. There's more joy in my day from it, and I do think that ultimately there are some good health benefits to it, even though there might be some debate over that. My thoughts on it is that there are definitely health benefits to it. So intermittent fasting, number 6. Number 7, call this breathing slash vagus nerve stimulation slash meditation. I've struggled with having a meditation practice my whole life. What I would say is that I've implemented it to be around, early afternoon, where I will take time, I will do some deep breathing exercises. I bought this device called a pulsetto, which kind of massages and vibrates your vagus nerve, which helps you relax. I find that really well. Anytime I do this, which is pretty regularly recently, I feel like the stress that you build up in the first 6 to 8 hours of the day for me working, I find having that 10-minute window where I'm doing deep breathing exercises or I'm stimulating my vagus nerve. Maybe I'm doing some non-sleep deep rest. You can look up what that means with Andrew Huberman. I find this just relaxes me. It takes a lot of the stress away that I've accumulated over the morning, which is normally pretty intense and busy for me at work. And so it also starts to wind you down just a little bit. It resets you in the middle of the day. So I would definitely recommend, it doesn't have to be a breathing exercise or a vagus nerve simulation. If meditation works for you, amen, go for it. It's never exactly worked for me, although you could say that breathing meditation you could call that a meditation, I suppose. But for me, having a 10-minute window where I'm deep breathing, vagus nerve stimulation, or non-sleep deep rest, that has been extremely beneficial for me managing stress and maximizing productivity in the late afternoon. Number 8, there should be no surprise here, exercise. I do it not every day, but 5 to 6 days a week, sometimes 7. It's really hard for me to do 7 because my workouts are pretty intense. I don't want to stress this too much because I talk about this quite a bit, but exercise just makes you feel better. It loosens you up. You're healthier. You sleep better the night that you exercise. Obviously, there's so much research about how good exercise is for you. That should be a mix of strength exercise and cardio, and it can include your walking, like we talked about earlier, getting outside, which doesn't necessarily have to be walking, by the way. You can just sit outside. But exercise is a daily habit that I think everyone should do. And I've been exercising regularly since I was 13, 14. So it's 15, 16, 17 years, something like that. Do it every day or at least 5 to 6 days a week. Number 9, we're starting to get to the point where the sleep schedule is starting to come in and the sleep routine. Dim your lights in the evening, folks. Normally for me, it's 8 o'clock, 8:30. I'm trying to get it to 8 o'clock because I go to bed around 9:30. 8 o'clock, dim your lights, put them on low. Turn your phone screen down, the brightness down, or put it away altogether. Light does negatively impact your sleep. If you do need a little bit of light, you can leave a light on in the corner, or if you buy smart lights, you can actually program them to go to red light at a certain time in the evening. Red light is far less intense, and so it actually helps your sleep pattern. And so dimming the lights in your house, having that wind down phase an hour to an hour and a half before bed, try and stay off your phone. I know that's hard. I've struggled with that myself. But at the very least, turn that brightness down. Try and limit the amount of light you're getting. Don't go to the bathroom to brush your teeth and flick on the really bright light in the bathroom. I actually, like a crazy person, will have the light on in the hallway on red. So I'll have the red light there and I'll be brushing my teeth in the bathroom, mostly in the dark. So you can definitely do that. Number 10, the last one here. Go to sleep at the same time every night, plus or minus 30 minutes. This is really hard during the weekend. It's really easy for me during the week. However, every time I go to bed, normally on the weekdays, it's 9:30. So between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, at the very latest 10:30, if I'm within that window, I feel so much better the day after. So much better. It's not even the same. Like, I feel like absolute trash. If I stay up till 11:30, 12 o'clock, which is very rare for me now, but I do stretch it a little bit on the weekends sometimes, I just feel like crap. I feel like crap. It's not good for you to fluctuate your sleep time. So go to bed at the same time every night. Just do it. If you followed all the other 9 habits, this should actually be pretty easy for you, from the sunrise clock to the ice bath to the getting ready for the day, starting work really early, getting outside because the sunlight helps reset your circadian rhythm, breathing exercises, the exercise itself that really kind of wears you out physically so you can get to sleep better, dimming the lights, winding down, staying away from your phone. If you do all of those things that I just mentioned, it will be very easy for you to go to sleep at the same time every night. I cannot overstate how important that is. So, those are the 10 daily habits that I wanted to talk about. I'm already at like 23 minutes here, so I'm going to wrap it up there. But I wanted to present this because I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was thinking, well, I don't think I've ever really done an episode where I've specifically talked about, like, say, the top 10 habits that I think are really important right now. Are some of these going to change in the coming years? Probably. But at this point in my life, these are the ones that I have found to be the most practical, beneficial for productivity, happiness, meaning, and health. And I highly recommend you at least give some of these a try, if not all of them.